Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the NDTV Real Estate Conclave 2025. India, that's right. Please feel free to go ahead and clap any time in the afternoon that you wish to. Thank you. Now, India is on the cusp of a monumental transformation that will reshape the country's real estate landscape. As per projections, and you all know this, India's urban population is expected to almost double by 2025 to 951 million. That, ladies and gentlemen, is 200 million more than the population of all of Europe. And what do you think one of the biggest scarcities is going to be? Real estate. There will be not enough parks, not enough office spaces, not enough houses, not enough community centers, not enough space for recreation and relaxation. With India, one of the fastest urbanizing countries in the world, what is the changing impact of urbanization on real estate in India? This is a critical inflection point to create the blueprint for the future of the realty sector that is smarter, more resilient, with a distinct deference to its cultural heritage and communities. Over the next few hours, we will engage with all of you, industry leaders, policymakers, innovators, and sustainability experts to explore how we can collaboratively address these profound challenges. How can we ensure that our cities are not just growing, but thriving, inclusive, and environmentally conscious for generations to come? And as we look at the reality of Indian realty, our focus will be on Delhi NCR and its neighborhoods. Before we invite our first panel, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners for making this event possible. The NDTV Real Estate Conclave is co-presented by VECA, Union Bank of India, and Fenesta, co-powered by Somani, Vectus Tanks, Gallant, Amba Shakti, Gold Plus, Hetic, special partner Hero Realty, associate sponsor LIC Housing Finance. Now, our first panel for today sets the macroeconomic context that is the very heart of India's urbanization, land scarcity and its impact on real estate. For this discussion, I would like to invite up on stage Gaurav Kumar, Managing Director, Capital Markets and Land, CBRE India, Rajiv Talwar, former IAS officer, former CEO and whole-time board member of DLF Limited, and the former president of PHDCCI, Amit Goyal, Managing Director, Sotheby's Realty, and Arun Kumar, General Manager, Union Bank of India. They will be in conversation with my colleague, Shrimi Chaudhary. A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Sit down, please.
Yeah, sure, sir. Please have a seat. Okay. Yeah, I can hear.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, there's no better time to talk about real estate. In fact, the sector is in very strong post-pandemic upswing. And this time, the cycle looks though different because this time it's driven by new wave of luxury demand. And, you know, it is mainly backed by India's emerging new wealth creators. But even with this momentum, you know, the challenge of land scarcity remains at the center stage because, you know, it impacts your prices, the project viability, as well as the home affordability. So as the saying goes, that, you know, it's all about the location, location, and location. And at the heart of the location, it's land, land, and land. We are glad to have a, you know, esteemed panelist we have today that brings a deep insight on the sector. Let me begin by asking you, Gaurav, that land scarcity continues to be, you know, driving up the prices even in the peripheral markets. How critical is the role of state-level, you know, land pooling policies and even the strong, you know, window clearances, etc., to kind of reduce the bottleneck that we see this time?
Thank you. You know, at a macro level, if you see India as a country and as we drive around and go in trains and go on road, we have enough land available. I don't think we have a scarcity of land. What we do have is a scarcity of infrastructure, especially urban infrastructure. When we talk about mass transit systems, if you see globally, no one lives in gateway cities. People travel to gateway cities and then they go back to their respective homes. Now, the problem in India is that all the travel is happening through car, right? Through road. So what we really need is new master plans, and new master plans need to be backed by infrastructure, especially transport infrastructure, to ease this availability of land. Because if you focus everything on a 5 square kilometer radius, I mean, we're sitting in Delhi and Gurgaon is where all the action is. So if all your development activity is going to happen in a 5 square kilometer radius for an aspirational, emerging, large demographic society like India, we will always be short of land. There is no way around it, right? So wherever new master plans, if you look at Greater Noida, it's a great example of a new master plan. If you look at Noida to Greater Noida to Yeda, what they've been able to achieve in that state, just in terms of availability of new land, that's why prices there have always been a little bit more rational, right? So if you talk about at a mass level, at a housing level, there is enough land available. Of course, you will have more expensive pockets of real estate, which is there anywhere in the world. So downtowns will be more expensive. But if you look at the middle class and the middle class affordability to buy homes, which is below $1 million still, in my opinion, we need to create these new pockets which are well connected, which are master planned, which are self-sustained communities in their own right in terms of infrastructure.
Rajiv, I would like to come to you on the fact that, you have seen the policy side as well as the private sector operations. How you think can reform help in kind of fast tracking these, land approvals? And in fact, to kind of ease the high cost we are seeing at this point of time, because at present it's pushing many out of the market. So how to deal with that?
Middle class affording $1 million homes. No, I think they deserve a better deal. It's got to be much below the $1 million. The truth is that, yes, there is a boom taking place in India, and it's going to last for the next 25 to 50 years. You've got enough population coming into cities. Cities are going to be, as the Prime Minister says, well-designed cities will determine the future of India. These are going to be the economic hotspots everywhere, all over the country. Mm-hmm. If there is shortage of land, as we think it is, then you've got to go higher and higher. So therefore, technology will play a very big role. When it comes to technology, you're already getting the first signs of governments reacting to it. It was a very strange thing which the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi said, and it was music to everyone's ear, that no NOC from the police is required. He even said last Friday that no NOC from MCD will be required to either design, make hotels or restaurants. Can you imagine? The condition of this city is so good and the police work is so good. You have more than 200 restro bars in a place called Connaught Place. Everyone knows by whatever name it is, the center of the town. Mm-hmm. Youngsters must be going there every day. They go in plenty of numbers. They go anywhere and everywhere around Delhi. Have you ever heard that there is a law and order situation there? Have you ever heard that the police is not available? So therefore, all authorities are now evolving, whether it is the DDA under the Lieutenant Governor, whether it is the police. But yes, what you need is a great investment in infrastructure, as Gaurav has rightly said. But more than that, I think it's for the real estate sector. We are getting the benefit of easy cash flows. You're also getting IPOs coming in. You've also got bank finance coming in. You've got great companies like Sotheby's coming in and all the others, whether it's JLL, whether it's CBRE, name it, and we have the best of the companies coming from abroad. I think we've got to change. So we've seen a few changes in the last decade or more. You have to come to a model where it will be like the auto boom which took place in India 40 years ago. You've got to come down to a conveyor belt system. You design, you choose the best in designs, you forecast because the need is so great, the boom is taking place because there is a shortage. And you design well, you prepare your plans, get the approvals of RERA, and then you can roll out $1 billion project every quarter. Each company can do it. You've got the best of the EPC companies coming into India. They're already working. The Indian companies are very, very good. Whether you take Tata Projects, whether you take L&T, whether you take all the listed companies, Shapurji Palanji, DS Ahluwalia, you have now Kalpataru, which is going public. So you have number of engineering companies. You need the best of the civil engineers coming in. They need to plan. The government is fully aware. As we've seen, the roads have changed. Metros have come into life over here. We need to increase water. So whatever's happened at the Indus Water Treaty should hopefully mean much greater water availability for the rest of India. So we all need to be putting our heads together. You are in for a very, very good time. This is the sector to be into India. You've seen the sponsors here. There's a great company, Hero Realty, which has come in here. You've got Somanis, not only Somanis, but the other, both the companies.
Yeah.
So Hindustan. And you've got every sector being covered. There's new technology which is coming into products. Optical fiber cable is now a recognized part. You don't get out of the house to go and make payments. Mm-hmm. You need green areas. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I think we need to just keep up and think futuristic. There is a great possibility of huge gains in the coming 25 to 50 years, especially for realty. This is the sector to be in.
You've given a very long-term view here, but I'll come to Amit on the part that post-pandemic, the boom is clearly seen in how, the strong traction coming in the luxury markets. But with land scarcity, it's pushing up the base prices. Do you think the luxury supply now at a risk of outpricing, even this segment of demand?
I think yes, you are right in terms of new product launches. There has been a reduction, right? But market is also consolidated a bit over the last 3 or 4 years, and a lot of inventory has been taken off by the buyers who were sitting on the fence. Post-pandemic, as you asked, we've seen a good, surge in demand. A lot of buyers came forward, bought their properties, which were under construction, are now going to be delivered over the next few years. We've also seen branded developments coming up, serviced residences coming up, which has again a lot more demand, as we've seen in the past. So buyers are willing to pay the premium and buy those, properties or developments which are very strong on software part, not just the hardware. Right? It is not just the brick and mortar that you buy real estate, but you are also buying something which offers you great amenities. As Mr. Talwar rightly said, automation, tech, which is playing an important role. And to also answer and touch upon your question about the scarcity, I think the cities are also expanding. As we see a lot of development happening in neighboring towns and cities, whether it is Gurgaon, Noida, we've seen some great quality developers coming up there, and doing those large projects. It's also going vertical, as some of the co-panelists said, and it needs to go vertical, right? With the technology that we have today, we are able to do those, strong infrastructure, strong foundations and buildings. I think the way capital markets are doing well, economy is growing for, over $4 trillion, going to be, third largest soon. There is a lot of money in the system which is being pumped into the real estate. We are also attracting strong inflows of institutional capital, private equity capital. Last year alone, we saw over $4.2 billion coming into Indian real estate sector, which is a big, big positive. The world is looking at India in a very positive manner. I think this is the best time, for the sector. and should continue. I'm very
Fair
positive.
point. I mean, you're saying this is the best time. I would like to know from Mr. Arun that, with inflation cooling off and possible rate cut in the horizon, we would get to know in the first week of August when we hear on the monetary policy. But how do you see the real estate credit cycle shaping over in next 6 to 12 months?
See, policy rate cuts will help both buyers as well as sellers. With policy rate cuts, financing will be cheaper. So definitely the builders will be getting cheaper loans for their projects, and also the home buyers will be getting cheaper loans for their home buyer. Further, all this inflation, it will be giving the confidence that there will be no speculation. Prices will be more or less stable. So there will be predictability of returns on the part of the projects. Input cost will be known. So there will be less likelihood of any speculation. And in turn, all these policy rate cuts as well as easing of inflation will improve the sentiments in the market, and business will be growing.
I hope bankers would pass on the rate cut benefit on consumer. But meanwhile, I would like to come back to Gaurav again on the part that we are seeing, big ticket land transactions shaping the future of Indian cities. As we on the cups of, structural shift in how land is identified, created, monetized, how do you seeing that, in the urban planning?
The good thing is that land is no longer considered a long-term capital asset, right? Most people view land as stock in trade, as inventory, which needs to be monetized immediately. And outside, very, very established players like DLF who own historic lands, for new players or for listed companies, when they are buying land, they are buying it with the immediate objective of developing and selling. So that's been the big change in the last 10 to 15 years, right? If you went back 15, 20 years, land banking was very, very popular. But given where land valuations have reached now, that is a big structural change, that land is being bought as an income-generating asset straight away to develop it. Cycles will come and go, and each cycle will teach us something, right? So this cycle is going to now, 25 onwards, the cycle is going to teach us that it's not just your per square foot price that is important. I think we've caught up. We had a very long period of no growth in prices, and then we've had a 4-year bull run. So our per square foot prices as a country are still very rational. They're not ridiculous. But what's happened is that in this momentum of luxury, our unit sizes have become very big. Mm-hmm. So if I buy a 5,000 square feet size apartment for, let's say, 20,000 rupees a square foot, that's a 10 crore apartment, right? Mm-hmm. But if I can afford the same space, let's say in a 3,000 square feet size, suddenly it becomes within striking range for me. So that is actually the most critical aspect that is going to change now as we're going forward. I'm not worried about, prices have gone up. Apartment prices are a function of land. You said land is scarce. There is a structural shift. Land is being seen as an income-generating asset. But please don't forget, as we are going vertical, your construction costs are going up. Mm-hmm. As much as you would like technology to catch up with construction cost per square foot. In a city like Gurgaon, earlier FSI used to be 1.75. You could build and sell easily. Then came TOD. Without the transit system in place, you got TOD FSI, right? So there's no metro, but your FSI has doubled to 3.5. Now you have TDR. So your net effective FSI has gone up to 5. So today, if you go to a landowner in Gurgaon, he'll say, I want my land valued at 5, which is for an incoming developer. I have to build more than 3 times of what I was building. So if I was constructing at 5 or 6,000 rupees a square foot, I cannot do the same for less than 8 to 10,000 rupees per square foot. So suddenly land starts looking cheap as compared to this construction cost, right? So the structural changes that are happening is because there is scarcity of land. When you buy land, you're buying it at market, then you've got to build at a high price. Mm-hmm. The only thing that is left is you can play around with your unit sizes. You cannot compromise on amenities because every second clubhouse is massive now, even for the mid-market projects or the affordable projects. So therefore, the only way I feel this is going to go is a reconfiguration of your apartment sizes, which I think is good. I mean, how many Indian families need 5,000 square feet?
Sure, well said. And on this line only, since the Gaurav mentioned that cycle will come and go, but from the point of view of government role here, you think that government should step in more aggressively to kind of unlock land in urban fringes and make peripheral
Certainly.
development viable and affordable?
Certainly, I think the government should look futuristic because it's not only the same cities. It's in Gurgaon, you find land prices going up and a landowner demanding for 5 FAR price, corresponding price, and therefore the construction and the delivered cost would be high. I think the government needs to look as they were doing earlier. But the problem is that the government always thinks of normally an auction rate. It's time that they began looking at policies in large, huge parcels, because one thing which no one is talking about, we're also not talking about it. What about housing for the poor? We used to have a company, very famous company, doing an excellent job in various parts of Haryana called Signature Global. They've had an IPO and now they're offering luxury. So therefore, the space which is available for making mass housing is much larger. You need, if the population is correct, as your own note said, that there will be 900 million plus, and 50% of any town, including Delhi, either exists in slums or they exist in unauthorized colonies. More than 4,000 unauthorized colonies have been regularized in Delhi. Now, is that going to be the condition of Gurgaon, of Noida, Greater Noida, and every little city and town that we go along? Therefore, the market is for that mass housing, which is not 5,000, which is correct. It's right from 300 square feet carpet area to something like 2,000 square feet. So we've got to get those people coming in. We've got to get developers looking at those projects which will give you a much bigger slice. You need minimum 100 or 150 million homes, which is 10 to 15 crore homes coming up. Anyone who has the capacity to build will get enough business. So there's no shortage of business. So let's get that going, and you'll see that cities will change. It'll be much easier for youngsters coming in. They don't need massive homes, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom. Those are aspirational homes. What you need is a size which you can afford, you can go out to work, you get all your clubs will be playing an important part. Absolutely. Because that's where they get their food from, Zomato and whoever, Blinkit or whoever's going to Swiggy, they're going to supply you. And you're going to get some entertainment, you're going to get sports. So therefore, planning needs to change from the government, and I'm sure it's waking up. I'm sure it's waking up.
All of us are agreed to your points, Mr. Rajiv. Amit, I would like to know from your global exposure through Sotheby's, what innovative land use or urban planning models from abroad could be adopted to India's high demand zones, according to you?
You see, when we go to global gateway cities and look at some of the most sought after developments, usually they are either golf facing, water views, that kind of development where you have stunning views, you have nature, you feel close to the nature. So that is something that could be brought into India or planned in a better way, where government could also play a role. I believe with the new government in Delhi, the Yamuna is being, now everybody is saying, I had the opportunity to meet up with the LG and the CM, and they are talking about cleaning up Yamuna, coming up with, more reforms for Delhi. The new master plan is expected to come in. So if we have some developments which are overlooking the water, right, which are close to the golf course, where you have more nature around you, more trees around you, green patches. So those are the things. Besides that, the branded and the serviced. So these are two things, you see, as the families are going nuclear and more startup founders, CXO level people, they are buying these, expensive properties. They want, and they are always on the move. They want something which is easy to maintain, easy to manage. When they are traveling, it's easy. They lock and key, lock and just go. And the place is very well maintained, and all the amenities are there. So that's something which I would say is really
push,
something.
you think
Absolutely.
is required. Arun, I wanted to know from you that what, according to you, we should come up with some innovative banking models, beyond the traditional loans. Do you see that some innovative models would help kind of fueling this entire housing market?
Yes, definitely that is need of our entire this thing, how we sell, purchase, how we finance and manage these housing projects needs to be re-looked into. Digital lending is need of the hour. It will reduce considerably the turnaround time and ease for customers. Further also, there is a huge demand from housing from unorganized sector, those who are not having this, say, for sanction of getting sanction home loans, borrower needs to provide this income tax returns. Most of the borrowers, applicants are having this income, but they are not having that income tax returns. Now banks are coming with products like, if they are having some digital footprints of transactions, they will take all those into account for their 24 months transaction, and they will provide finance to all these unorganized sector. Apart from that, banks are also coming with this fintechs and this co-lending model, which will help definitely to enlarge this market and will definitely ease the things.
Yeah, clearly. So, Gaurav, we are witnessing, most of these large-scale transactions are backed by, REITs, sovereign wealth fund, private equities, etc. So, how you think that this entire investor appetite driving, especially in the REIT segment, and despite the fact that we have a global interest rates which has been rising, so what's your thing that is driving the whole REITs market here?
The listing of the first REIT was a big landmark moment in our history, at least as far as the industry is concerned, for many, many reasons. One, they were trying for 10 years to get it done. The second is that it gives a very, very viable exit to a new fund who comes into India to develop office space, right? Because the first question that everyone used to ask is, if we invest money in India, how do we exit our capital, right? And the only option at that point in time was you sell to another fund. So what the REIT markets did was it opened up this new plethora of foreign institutional investors who were not traditional real estate investors who could actually buy off you. The second thing that it did is it allowed the Indian middle class to actually participate in yielding office assets without having to go and buy strata title in an under construction commercial property, right? So today as a investor, as a retail investor, I have the ability to buy a home, to buy office space, but I can simply go out and buy 10 units of a listed REIT. And it gives me a yield. I can exit whenever I want at the click of a button. So it opens up another, and we haven't just seen the large REITs of the big global investors. Now we have something called the SM REITs. You can do individual asset listings. So you have 5 or 6 new managers who are saying, okay, a REIT doesn't need to be 20 million square feet or 10 million square feet. I can simply go out and list a 1 million square feet office asset. So these things give depth to a sector. It gives you access to more capital, access to institutional capital where you have to be strong on governance, but you get great valuations for your asset classes. So in a way, our increase of grade A stock, by the end of next year, we will be a 1 billion square feet grade A office stock in this country, which is phenomenal. We never thought when we all started our business, you've seen the industry for so long, 30 years back, this number was like 20 million square feet, and it was all in Nariman Point. So you've got a great base of investment grade A office space, you've got foreign private investors, you've got REITs, and the fourth source of capital is now you've got domestic funds, which are mobilizing domestic wealth into office assets. These are private funds. So actually, they're going to wealthy Indians and saying, you don't need to do structured debt in residential. We'll get you buildings, we'll asset manage this. And they've raised $1 billion alone in the last 4 or 5 years. So, office has seen a lot of action. Residential, you're still heavily reliant either on customers for cash flows or if you're a listed firm. For residential companies, access to capital is very, very difficult, especially when times are not that great.
But still, I think that the retail's participation is still lacking in the REITs. What is holding back the retail participation in such instruments? And plus, do you think that this is the time to kind of tweak some of the regulatory requirements to kind of push such instruments?
I think retail investors in India are smarter than you and I. They want the alpha returns. They don't care about 7 to 10% appreciation, right? Anyone who's putting in life savings will either put in money into mutual funds or they go for stocks which have high return profiles. But I think if you're looking for a combination of growth and stable income, REITs offers a great model. I don't think the government needs to do anything more. It's now a personal choice.
I'm sure. Rajiv, you...
Retail REITs coming up too. I mean, those, I think, the complexes which are coming up, like say AeroCity here, or you have Nexus which has come in all over the country. I think those are also opportunities which are really now flowering. And money is getting cheaper. In fact, the two big problems in India, as we all knew, was either the cost of land is too high or the cost of money is too high.
Absolutely.
So land, I'm sure it will be that the cheaper the cost, people who've got traditional land banks, when they go up vertically, that will become cheaper. Money in any case is becoming cheaper, hopefully in India. But there is a lot of scope, I think, for people to do more. I mean, you've got REITs coming in. And even for REITs, the kind of income which is going up. I mean, our own company, 155 crores when you went public. Today you're nearing $1 billion. So that's a huge jump. So it's possible in every city that, I mean, it's not only us. GIC's taken up the commercial assets of a company in Bangalore. So people are looking around. Money is looking around from all over the world into India, that where can you find a good return? So it's going to be a good period. People need to look into the future for their own niche. There's excellent luxury here. Sadhbis will not look at anything else, but there'll be a large number of people who will keep on maturing. The cycle is starting now, where people used to look only at homes which were selling for something like maybe 5 to 10,000 rupees a square feet. Those people are not looking at 5 to 10,000 now. They're looking at 10 to 30,000. So someone will have to look at the requirement where electricity will be there, water will be there, gas will be there, OFC cable network, digitals will be there, and those will still come within a cost of below 10,000 bucks. And what about rental housing? Just like office space is on rent, and so are retail shopping centers, I think housing will also go on a rental basis.
So, Rajiv, on the commercial space, as you rightly pointed out, I just wanted to understand that with remote work and the hybrid model in place, is the large-scale commercial space still a safe long-term bet, according to you?
You bet it is.
Amit, I'd like to know that what is driving this confidence, like, global money pouring in and all those luxury segment. What is driving this confidence, according to you?
I think it's the end use. The end users are really driving the market. They are the ones who are coming and buying properties. The investor market, you see, it's a very healthy transformation where investors are taking the route of REITs and AIFs and end users are buying the properties for their self-use. This is a big shift, and that's very healthy as well. As people invest through these platforms, whether it is, REITs, you take Embassy, Mindspace, Nexus, and then so many REITs have come and they have successfully raised capital in the country and are able to also deploy. They are seeing more and more deployment opportunities. So as investors are taking that route to invest, they know that smart people who are seasoned in this particular domain, they are managing that money and they are able to generate risk-adjusted returns for the investors, and they also keep liquidity aspect in mind. They're able to, protect the capital in a much better manner, having the controls in place. SEBI has done a great job in terms of, laying out the format for these platforms. So these are some of the very healthy, I think, moves which we all have seen.
A quick question on the very interesting fact that, with strong sales reported recently by DLF, Prestige, but the stock remains volatile. Why you think is that?
Okay, you need an answer for that. And the answer is plain and simple. You are using the words location, location, location. No, it's relationship, relationship, relationship. In companies, it was well laid out by the founders of the company and the successive generations that your stock, bulk of the stock, 75% is held by the family. So why worry about the stock price and volatility? It's the asset which is giving you a much higher return.
I'm afraid I'm running out of time. Just last question, because there has been some debate on the Gurugram property prices, and I want to know from you, is this a kind of bubble waiting to burst? What's your take on that?
Everyone would wish that the bubble should burst. No. I think when you give something which Amit was saying, that those are actually well-defined, very exclusive, you will always find a place for that. It's like saying that the shoe market is not going to be driven by Prada chappals. There is a Kolhapuri chappal there which is in the bulk. So there will be all assets and asset classes. How business looks at it will be very different. I think one of your panelists will be a young Abhishek over here, that how does he think of this company, Somani Tiles, changing in the future? The scope of production and the costs will go up immensely. The scope will go up immensely. The costs will remain competitive. Production lines will change. So I think the entire industry and entire India is undergoing what I think that lady rightly said, transformational change.
I'm sure.
India is undergoing a big change. It's the country of the future. It's the country to bet on. And real estate, by its very nature, is an industry or a sector to really bet upon very heavily. It's a very good sector.
I'm sure, Rajiv. Thank you so much. And that's the wrap of this very special conversation. And thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your deep insight into this sector. Thanks a lot.